Hey, hi your mom and them. NFR greetings to all the kids and cats out there in Far Reachers land. Welcome to the Far Reachers podcast. For those of you who are watching this event, A, bless your heart. B, you'll notice 4 a-holes on the screen, but one of them is a different a-hole than normal, and that is our special guest, Mr. Colby Marshall. Mr. Joel will be joining us very shortly. He's finishing up some business in the Tokyo markets, I believe. I am Michael Wells, your somewhat host. We have Mr. Raleigh Bigsby and Mr. Richard Bradbury, your Far Reachers experts. This episode, as long as our other ones as well, is sponsored by our good friends at B&K Auto Salvage, just south of LeGrand, with over 1,200 used vehicles in stock and a large selection of 4x4 parts. And winter's coming on; those are important. B&K Auto is your Eastern Oregon one-stop shopping in the automotive world. That's right, kids. So stop by B&K Auto Salvage and Recycling, located on Highway 203, just south of the Big, on the way to Onion, and outside of Baker City. So, everybody, welcome. Glad to have you all. As we always start off with the Far Reaches podcast, and we'll get to why Colby's joining us here exactly in a few minutes. Some of you who are fans of this podcast and Mr. Marshall, you probably know why we have him here. There's many reasons to have Colby on. We finally had enough of them all build up. We decided, what the hell? And so we thought we would join. So Colby, welcome to Far Reaches podcast. We are glad you're here, sir.
Hey, this is something that I've been looking forward to since you guys started this program. I didn't think that I'd ever get the chance to join in with the Far Reachers. So this is an extraordinarily fantastic moment for me, and I hope I can do it justice. Because hanging out with you guys like this is something that has been a lifelong dream since Tuesday.
Literally dozens of minutes. Yes, we hear that quite a bit.
Yeah.
We did qualify for some government grants for having you on. I will thank you for that as well. I think also I'm supposed to say it's your special day. I'm not sure what that means. Is that with the Make-A-Wish? Is that what that is? It's your special day, I believe. So here you go. It's all for you, big buddy. This is your time. Yes. So
perfect. Good.
Thank you so very, very much. Yes. So as always, we're going to kind of drag you into our normal podcast. We're going to go into some of your realm also, but we always start Far Reaches with our weekly update, kind of like a little up to speed for all the reachers out there listening. And so I think this week we'll start with Mr. Raleigh, who can enlighten us a bit. He started off last week with such a bang with his weekly update. I think we got to see if we can go 2 for 2. And if you feel like it, Rawls, you might, maybe briefly overview your last one, because I think Colby, due to his, yearning to be on here, it started at podcast number 1 and not 27. So he doesn't know last week's story. So if you want to bring it back to speed, that'd be phenomenal.
Okay. I'm assuming we're talking about the horseless rider.
No, incident. Yes, the Ichabod crane that rolled through your fencing area. Yeah.
Oh, I was building some hot wire on a hayfield to put cows on this week, and was just about done, literally 5 minutes from being done. And out of the corner of my eye, I catch this horse running past me with a saddle on it and no rider. And it runs right through the field, right through my wire, up onto the highway and down the highway. And I glance around, look around. I don't see anybody, but I'm almost done, so it doesn't really occur to me that I should go look for anyone until I finished. And so I look around, don't see anything. The horse runs down the road into this place across the road where there's some other horses. And that was all for that commotion for a moment while I'm sitting there working on my fence. And I catch another movement out of the corner of my eye and look across the field about 100 yards from me. Here comes this little dude, and he is pissed. And he's got a walk that says nothing but "I'm pissed." And so this guy gets about 5 feet from me, and his first words out of his mouth is, "What kind of fucking asshole are you?"
Stupendous from what I hear, yes.
Yeah, the best, That kind of caught me off guard, and so the first thing out of my mouth was, "Well, how bad did you tear my fence out?"
So they're off to a good start already. A lot of communication and bonding, you might say.
Building a relationship.
Absolutely, yeah.
A lot in common. Yes.
I've always been so good at that. Well, his next words out, well, you're a real prick, aren't you? You couldn't even come give me a ride. And I said, hey, look, I look up and a horse comes running by me. I don't know where you fell off at, so I don't know where to begin to look. And
I don't care. Yeah.
yeah. And besides that, I got a job to do and I got to finish it. And then he asked me who I worked for. And the guy that I'm renting that pasture from, his father-in-law owns the place there. Well, he says, do you work for John, the father-in-law? And I said, no. I said, I work for myself. I'm renting this from his son-in-law, Doug, and I'm work for myself. Oh, bullshit. And he says, I'm in a 1983 banana yellow GMC 6.2 diesel flatbed that I use for fencing.
The Butte, Clark.
Yeah. It is. That machinery is outstanding, by the way. I mean, I actually think that it needs its own Facebook page. Truly.
Yeah. It does. It really does.
Soon.
Well, this guy takes a look at that pickup and he says, you gotta be somebody's hired hand driving an old beater like that. And he said, well, I've got a few more of them if you want to go look at them too. And then he proceeds, I'm wearing a cowboy hat. It's been really sunny, so I've been wearing my cowboy hat out in the field working like that, keep the sun out of my eyes. And he looks me up and down. He goes, what kind of cowboy are you out here working for somebody else? And I said, well, clearly a better one than you. I didn't fall off my horse 5 minutes ago.
It doesn't get any better from there. Yeah.
You guys are damn near having a drink together at this point.
It's
almost Western. Yeah.
So he continues to use his insults, and his wife shows up at this point in time because the horse had run to the house, and apparently that's where they lived. Well, she's
seen it before. Yeah.
She got a little nervous when the horse showed up and he didn't. Well, he'd ridden into my fence, and I don't know if it bucked him off or spooked and fell off. I don't know what happened. He never explained that, but I didn't really care. And he proceeds to get tough when she gets there, and he's going to fight me. Keep in mind, this guy's about the size of my wife. He's about 5'6" and weighs about 140, maybe 50.
She weighs like 107, maybe. Yeah. Kells don't weigh. Yeah. Anyways. Yeah. He was 185 if he was a pound. His ass, shadow of his ass weighed 30.
My wife's over here listening. Thank you, Micah.
Hello, honey.
But he was the size of my wife. Tall, not tall,
man. Had hands like a grizzly, Dad. I swear to God. Yeah.
Beautiful beard like she has.
Yeah, but the light caught her mustache and it distracted me from the camera. Anyways, so.
Thanks for helping me out of that one.
Anything for a friend.
I know.
Everybody gets one. Yeah. So
anyway,
waif little thing, maybe weighed 100. That's the horse didn't even know he fell off. Yeah.
Yeah. So he proceeds to want to fight with me, and his wife steps in front of him to stop him, and he shoves her to the side. And I explained to him that wasn't the right thing to do. And in the nicest words I could muster up, I told him it was in his best interest to leave before he wasn't able to. And
you may go now. Yeah.
He finally goes ahead and gets in his rig and drives off. Well, like I said, I was about 5 minutes from being done. As soon as I got done, I drove around to the other side where his horse had tore it out and fixed that. And I'm leaving the field, and this car pulls up to the gate where I'm coming out and pulls in. I'm like, now what? Well, I recognize it's him again. And he's got his window down, so did I. He drives up to my window. He looks at me, and he looks over at the fence, and he goes, so did you figure out how to fix fence yet? And that's just not. Richard, would you take that very well?
No.
Yeah. Well, I think he.
And I don't particularly invest a lot of pride in my fence fixing skills either.
But that's just not something you go to
That horse,
rancher.
hey, Raleigh, that horse never would have got hung up in Richard's fence because the fence wouldn't have been up that tight. So,
There's that. Yes. Richard's always planning ahead. Yeah.
Yeah. Just keep them low to the ground.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
you're like, man, there's just like a chemical imbalance. He's just looking, got a death wish or something.
he did, he really did, and then he the only thing that I could think to say, he quickly covered on that one, and he says, "Well, do you need any help fixing it?" And I said, "Nope." And you're, I think I told him that you're pushing it, buddy, and that wasn't. If I stuck around much longer, it wasn't going to be pretty. So I decided.
I'll be digging a really deep post hole, and you're probably at the bottom of it. Yeah. So
I took myself home at that point. But yeah, that was my last week's incident.
So how's this week compare?
It's been good. Yeah.
Smashed my thumb, got a flat tire, ran over a chicken. Still way better. Yeah.
Things are mission that shouldn't be. I don't know. No, it's good.
If this holds true to Raleigh Bigsby script, that guy will later come on and be involved in some horrific accident or disappearance, and Raleigh will be the last person that had a confrontation with him.
Yeah.
I doubt he's the last person. Probably the most famous person, but not the last. Yeah. Probably the guy at the gas station would have choking.
And they're gonna pull up this podcast and use it as the exact reason why they found this guy in a ditch.
That's pretty much what this is all about. Self-incrimination. That's kind of what we should just call this. Self-incrimination, not far reaches. Yeah.
A whole second. It's a whole second of the podcast.
This week on self-incrimination, we go live to Wallowa County. Yeah.
Yeah, we could just call it the statute of limitations.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Anything on the radar this week besides just good old-fashioned daily Wallowa County ranching?
So Colby's appearance isn't coincidental.
No, that's, yeah.
I do have some good.
Yeah, we need a fourth reacher, so we're breaking one in right now. Yeah, so yeah.
No, this week's been good. We took a bunch of calves up to Lewiston to the sale, and just moved some cows, obviously, down there to where I built that fence. And
were they these cows that you hauled to the sale in Lewiston? Were they your cows, or did they belong to this guy with the horse?
The guy I work for.
The guy you work for, yeah. That's slack-jawed yokel. Yeah, that's close enough. Yeah, he told me load him up and take him to town, so I did. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah. I drive an old beat-up yellow Chevy flatbed. What do I know? Yeah.
I don't know about you, but I cuss that
bitch. Though I'll tell you what now.
I cuss that guy I work for all the time, especially when I'm driving to work.
Definitely. What kind of maniac makes me get up at this hour of the day? Yeah.
And I have to drive this piece of shit pickup.
Yeah. Windows don't work. Starter doesn't work.
Yeah, he's a jerk.
Yeah. Never can get a day off.
Yeah, no. Tough on crew.
So just kind of an average week?
Yeah, just pretty normal. We went to La Grande today and did a little banking and met Kaylee Patterson over there. She's had a dog that she's been trying to get trained for a guy up here, and it's not working out to be much of a cow dog, so she needed to get it back, and so we arranged and met her, and I brought it back up here for him.
Oh, cool. Return to sender. Yeah.
Yeah, just pretty much normal Wallowa County wintertime stuff.
I like it. That's beautiful times right there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Beautiful times. Well, we'll switch gears to our special guest this week, and I'll give a little bit of background now. It's kind of what they call a teaser in the business. This is our special guest this week, Mr. Colby Marshall. He's Eastern Oregon rancher and real estate tycoon from Burns, Oregon area. He recently appeared on Discovery Channel's Expedition X. Now, if you haven't seen it, it's actually a pretty interesting show. It's season 2, episode 2. So it was on the Deuce, and the title of this here episode probably could have been maybe workshopped a little bit longer is Roundup at Death Ranch. That's the title. Now, we'll get to this episode
Nothing
later.
to do with the title.
I hope to God not. And we got our fifth reacher just joining us right now too. So that's Roundup at Death Ranch. But so Colby, rancher, real estate tycoon, he's coming on for the special guest. Mr. Joel is just joining us as well. Colby, why don't you give us your weekly update and kind of give us a little him and a ha, and we'll go from there, good sir.
All right. So the weekly update this week, basically it was a busy week. Real estate, as Richard can probably attest to out here on the east side of the state, it's staying very active, and there's a lot of reasons for it right now. But primarily is that as people are getting tired of living in kind of the larger urban areas, they're looking for places to, get away from everything and kind of find a little bit of a slice of heaven. And so we end up dealing with people that have experience, in the Burns, Hines, Harney County area. They grew up here. They lived somewhere else for a long time. Now they want to move back. They're selling properties that are worth, quite a bit in other places. And so they're taking that cash and they're coming back here and buying places. And interest rates are incredibly low right now. The ability to get, conventional loan financing and whatnot is in a lot of people's reach. And so it's, things are moving right along. Even some of the larger properties, some of the farms and ranches, we're starting to move those now as people are getting towards the end of the year and they're wanting to put, money where they're thinking it's going to be a lot safer, kind of given that we don't quite know where things are going to go here in the next few months. So anyway,
they're not making any more dirt yet. So yeah.
Yep. So, but I did have an interesting, Raleigh's fence story reminded me, in each one of these kind of occupations, you always have these interesting things that happen. And I had this interesting one happen in real estate. It's common practice that if somebody refers a client, a potential client to you, that the real estate agent that gave that referral then gets a portion or a percentage or an amount out of the sale. Well, this lady contacted me and said, "Hey, I've got these buyers for," and this is a couple of months ago. She said, "Oh, I've been working with these folks, and I'm going to send them your way because they're working on. They want to buy this house, Lake County, Christmas Valley area." And I said, "Yeah, I'm happy to work with them." So anyway, I get into the transaction and I'm working through this thing. Find out she about a minute and a half on the phone with these people through a Zillow call, and then just texted me their number, and then she got her dander up and sent me and my principal broker this nasty email that she hasn't received her commission out of this thing yet. And anyway, I talked to her on the phone. She hung up on me. And at the end of the and so basically I had to offer $500 in order to kind of settle down in this deal. So I don't know what I was thinking about this on the way home tonight. I'm pretty sure that she was making $250 a minute off of that transaction. So for all of you out there that are listening, real estate can be a very lucrative thing if you have no scruples. So that's the moral of the story here. So anyway.
Wow. I guess, it's definitely about who you know. Yeah. So she was your point of contact. So pay up, schmuck. Yeah.
No, something else. So anyway.
Hand-to-hand combat.
That's the weekly update.
That's glorious. Yeah. We thank you for that. Yeah. That's
riveting.
Mr. Joel Hayes Carl Curran, do you want to give us your weekly update there, good sir?
Sure, Micah.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. We appreciate that.
You want to know what I did this week?
Well, give us your weekly update. You can make shit up if you want. We won't know the difference. It could be something you did even last week. We won't even tell. Maybe even what you're thinking about doing next week. Just bring us up to speed, good sir.
The last week, I have lived a fairly remote lifestyle, as in I wake up around 11:30.
Nice.
And go to my white collar job and log into the computer and tell people they need to do training.
Outstanding.
And in between those, I eat sandwiches pretty much. So there's my weekly update, Micah.
That was outstanding.
No, I just got back from the bar. Me and the girlfriend went to the bar down the street.
Oh yeah, a little local, as they would call it.
Yeah, it's called the Barlow.
Nice. Setting the bar pretty low, are you?
So as soon as I got out of COVID jail,
Yes, sir.
as soon as I recovered from that and I was allowed to leave, I went to this bar the first night. Last week, if anybody was listening, I joined and I was very, very drunk. Beavers had just won.
Yes, sir.
But I had started the night at this place called the Barlow, and I really wanted an old fashioned, so I had 6 of them, and I was feeling pretty good, you know. So anyway, I went back there tonight and with the girlfriend.
Oh.
I had 3.
Oh, okay.
Played some rummy.
Nice.
Yeah. Been a nice date night. Keep her satisfied for a couple weeks.
It's a hell of a woman you got there. Yeah, you got to, treat her right, especially if she puts up with your jail time. Yeah, being a COVID kid there. Yeah.
I gave her COVID, so. You
are a giver. There is that. Yes.
I owe her.
We won't get into that quite yet. We'll have a separate podcast just for that. That'll probably be a 2 or 3 hour one, but
that's Discovery XXX coming next week.
Episode 3. Yeah, haunted apartment. Yeah, it'll be. Where are you at right now? Are you in the bathroom, Joel?
Right now, I'm in my bedroom.
Oh, okay. I didn't recognize the background there. Usually we have the rustic headboard. So you threw me. I decided to confirm.
Yeah, this is the other direction. Yeah.
Gotcha. Kinky. I never saw that when I was there, so we'll let that one lie as it is. Yeah. So take it as you will. Yeah. Richard, what's going on in your twisted world, my good sir?
We just finished pregging all the cattle and getting all the calves weaned yesterday, just in time to find out that Jason, a business partner, has COVID. So, anyways, most of Adele is affected. He wasn't the first victim. So, anyways, Saturday I'm gonna go in and get tested, and super fun. So,
you got that
I'm pretty sure I had it.
Where do you go get tested, Richard?
The vet.
Sunday.
The same place.
Where? Where?
The fairgrounds.
Like animal clinic.
They turned your fairgrounds into a hospital?
There's some things, somebody told me about it. I wouldn't go and get tested because when I did need to get tested last year when I was dying, nobody cared enough to test me.
That was like October, right? Or November? Like, I'm pretty sure you were one of the first COVID cases in the United States.
It was this time last year. So
yeah, you were like death in the line.
Yeah, I could not get anybody to look at me. And then when I did go in, they told me I was perfectly fine. And my wife said, "That's a bunch of bullshit. I thought you were going to die." So
yeah.
Anyways.
Yeah, I remember you talking to you. You're like death warmed over. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's going to have to take a lot. And it cost me $800 to get the COVID test last time. Then I found out that the batch of tests they had were not good tests. So.
Well, yeah. I mean, to segue just real briefly, most COVID tests are done what's called PCR, which is polymerase chain reaction, which is like random at best. That's why you get so many false positives with that PCR because.
Whoa!
Seriously, yeah.
Let's not be a source of disinformation.
You can Google this.
The PCR test. The PCR test.
Dude.
Sorry.
Who's the guy here that works in genomics? I think it's me. Yeah.
I had the COVID.
I know. You had the Rona.
No,
congratulations to that. The rapid test is not very accurate either, but even the PCR is not that accurate a test, man. I'm just saying. So I'll leave it at that, but I wanted to drop that in on you guys.
Well, I will say that Mike is wrong, and that is accurate.
Outstanding. Again, we're going to start this one off.
The good news here is that Richard is getting his test done by the same people, with the same people that do the preg testing, and they're 98% accurate with that. 98% accurate. he is going to be tested, and it will come out with good information.
Well, they're going to throw in a
Is
flea
the
bath and a
application of
spay
the
too.
swab the same? Is the swab application the same as the preg test?
If you show up and they're wearing the Cookie Monster
Wait.
gloves, you might go to a different doctor. I'm
Wait,
just saying. Yeah.
Let's back up for a second. What is a are you talking about a pregnancy test?
For-
Preg test?
For cows.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Richard's going to the
I
vet to get his.
opted to bring my own lube.
I got my special brand. It's I'm hypersensitive to the aloe. Yeah. So.
Jesus.
On
God.
a sad note, and I just want to say this not because any of the family's going to be listening, but it's my immigrant story. So a couple moved here probably back in the 70s, 60s, 70s, and start working on the MC Ranch from Mexico.
Oh yeah.
And they
Wonderful.
stayed for years and worked until they retired out there, and got their citizenship and everything, and raised 5 or 6 kids, I think.
Yeah, good people too. Good friends.
Yeah, amazingly talented family, great contribution to our community. And the father passed away last year, and the mother just recently passed away, and it sort of was weighing heavily on our community. So I think that it's the West and the rural areas get a lot of grief about our stance on immigration, but I will say that my stance on it is probably a lot better, shaded in a more positive light, because these people were in my family. Well, I consider them family.
Yeah, absolutely.
Were in my life, and their children and their grandchildren are all people that I have grown up with from the time that I was a young kid. So, and to see the passing of the first generation that came here to the United States and see what a huge legacy they're leaving behind in our little community is incredible. So I just want to give a shout out to the Villagrana family and wish them the best in their time of strife.
I completely second that. Yeah, some good friends and good memories with a lot of that clan. Just some wonderful, true great people. Thank you for bringing that up, Richard. Dick, man. I mean, it's good to talk about. Yeah, it's such good people. So it's one of those things that we all have to live through at some point. So I know they're working through that. Now. So yeah, let me get my quick update real quick, and then I had a week. Anyways, I've learned all the crazy random idiocy that is required when one is purchasing a home now. Notes from third grade teachers. Where did that money come from? No, like seriously, like some of the craziest shit. Like I had to dig up W-2s from like 3 years ago for this loan process I'm going through. Like I sold.
It's not that long.
Yeah,
that's like a normal amount.
Yeah, I know. Like I already filed my taxes for those years and all that shit's done. I still have to drag out my W-2s. I mean, why not? Yeah. God forbid I sold something for cash about 2 months ago and put that money in my bank account. You'd think I was dealing with fucking some Colombian drug lord or something, the way to crawl out of my ass to look for where that money came from. So anyways, we're working through all that, but it's just a nice refresher to know, we talked about The Big Short as one of our movies a few weeks ago. And back then, you really didn't have to even prove you were hardly alive, let alone had a job to get a mortgage. So I think we've definitely cured that willy-nilliness, and now we're on the other side of the coin. So kudos to that. But it's just a good refresher for all things government, especially since I'm a VA, veterans loan, and I know nobody's going to doubt this, or you'll all giggle, but I'm technically disabled veteran as well, so there's another level of interaction with the VA and all that fun stuff. And so
just exactly how are you disabled?
Well,
yeah, what's your disability?
I think I really don't have to tell you. Fuckers.
I think
it's not like I have.
We're not obliged.
It's not like I have COVID or some shit, and I have to put it on the fucking news. Anyways, technically, I have hearing loss.
Being limp dick is not a disability.
No, it was actually an ability in the Navy. No, I have hearing loss. So yeah.
What? You have hearing loss?
I can't hear a word
That's
you're
your
saying. I read your
that's
lips
your
all the
big.
time.
Because
It's my
You have
penis.
hearing loss. That's your
Sound
big
waves.
disability.
My penis is blocking the sound waves, and so for that I get a disability. Yeah. So if you're gonna go there, I'm gonna run with it. Yeah. So that's why I always ask you to sit closer to your camera so I can read your lips. That's
We
one
need
thing.
to stop coddling veterans.
Yes,
That's what we
absolutely.
need to do.
If there's any group of people that's been over coddled this entire time, it's most
Yeah.
definitely
I
veterans.
know, right?
Yeah.
They have their
absolutely.
own hospitals.
I mean,
They have
seriously, the best
fan-
facilities
fancy
in
hospitals.
the world, like the best, like really. That's where the phrase buddy tape it came from. Like, hey, I broke my leg. Oh, just fucking buddy tape it to your other one and take an aspirin. I'll see you next week. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I'm glad we agree on that. That's good.
My favorite reformed communist talking shit about the veterans. Thank you so much. Yeah, that's bueno. So that's my update. Yes, glorious. Menace. Good Lord. Yeah. This is why people tune in. This is like a subset of America right here. He's a hashtag Americana. This is what it's all about right here. This is probably how the world should be ran, actually.
I would say that this world is being run right now. That's unfortunate for the world.
I would give you that point as well. That yeah, this is probably the most intellectual part of any kind of political discussion that's broken out in the past 2-3 years. Yeah. So
I'll tell you real quick.
okay. I'm sure it will be. Yeah.
We were at Hamley's one time, and I thought Micah was going to punch me in the face.
I would maybe think about
and
it,
Raleigh,
but I never
I
did.
think Raleigh might have been there too. This was
some time ago.
Yeah, back in Obama years. You guys
this
were
is way back in the
shit
day.
at Obama.
There was plenty to work with. Yeah. So
this is back when I was pretty hardcore Democrat.
You were my favorite communist, no doubt. Yeah.
Yeah. What'd you call me? Call me Joel or
my favorite
call me bastard.
My favorite bastard.
Bastard.
Yeah.
But I had said something. We were talking about welfare, and like essentially, you're a veteran. Like you're getting welfare.
I pretty much earned it though. Yeah. I don't know if we want to go down this road right now, but we do have it.
Well, let's not talk about whether you earned it or not.
Yeah.
But the bottom line is that you receive welfare.
I guess I'm well off for it. Yes, sure.
Okay, so you served your country. You did what you needed to do out of the kindness of your heart. But
sense of duty. Yeah.
Now you want stuff.
Yeah, I get a whopping $140 a month since I can't hear half the range on my scale. That seems fair. Yeah.
They did say up front that they were going to get stuff. I mean,
okay.
You're gonna get college petition or it's all what I guess the deal that you make, but you get to
get a little bit of money
out.
for college. Like I think I got like $258 a month was a GI Bill when I went to college. I think we all know that really didn't cover college. Yeah, that didn't even cover hardly rent in the White House.
College thing is a safe assumption because most of them do not go to college.
Yeah, that's why they offer it. Yeah, so
yeah.
$258 a month.
What was that
called?
This
one's not.
I said $258 a month didn't even cover your bar tab when we all went out together.
Not even with my Benchwarmers discount. No, I mean, and that was pretty substantial. That was.
I mean, the guy can't live on that in college.
Very substantial discount, I might add.
No.
Thank you, Benchwarmers. Thank you so very much, Angie, Kim, Tim, Angie, a whole gang down there.
Here's a shout out to the bench, and here's a shout out to the sitting there and having cocktails and playing
little trivia.
Trivia.
Dragon.
I'm sure we'll get into it, but that is what college is. I took personally my own anecdotal experiences. I took out too many loans.
Yes, sir.
Way more than I needed to pay for college. I could have gotten a job. I had roommates that had jobs. Marshall Patton worked at McDonald's. I was living with him. He had $1,000 a month to play with. And I just borrowed it. And the thing is, I was a lazy college student. I didn't get that good of grades. I didn't work during the school year. I just lived off of college loans that the government gives you. And now
it's evil.
They want to forgive that. They want to pay for your college loans. And I think that is horseshit.
Thank you. Yeah.
I still owe $25,000 in student loans. I mean, granted, I consolidate it as any reasonable person would do into a private loan, lower interest rate.
Lower interest rates and one
so
payment,
I wouldn't benefit from it. Any loan forgiveness from it. I'm not going to benefit for that because it's with a private lender. But even if, I mean, I would take the $25,000, but I don't think that's right. I think that is probably would go down as one of America's biggest blunders, is just giving college graduates, which are primarily upper class whites who Democrats don't really want to help in theory, and you're just going to give them $50,000.
You're basically making people who didn't go to college, barely have a job, pay for people who did go to college and probably
people made sacrifices, right? And
they're called choices, Joel,
and parents. Choices. Like this loan forgiveness proposition, violence is the response to that. That is absurd.
You're coming down pretty strong on this. I didn't expect that. I'm a little taken aback.
I hate it. I hate the idea.
I would concur. I didn't.
Maybe you're not as commie as we thought you were.
We've definitely had an influence on Joel. I have to take some personal pride in the fact that when I met him about 10 years ago, he probably had
back when I said you were on welfare because you were a veteran,
exactly.
And I thought you were gonna kill me.
You're pretty close, because you pretty much deserved it. But now we've come so far, and now I'm the one telling you to calm down about repaying loans. Yeah. So
I was gonna say, if Joel keeps up this level of progression, I'm gonna be a liberal.
Exactly. Yeah, we'll be like, whoa, be 3 liberals and a Joel. That's what we're gonna call it. The whole, instead of libertarians, we're Joelitarians. That's the whole new level. Yeah. Fucking Joelitarians, man. Yeah. So let's curb this conversation briefly and go into a more of a dystopian universe, if you shall. And if anybody's got a chance to watch the Discovery Channel episode that I sent out to everybody, this is one of many reasons why we have Mr. Marshall on with us this week. I mentioned it a little bit earlier. Colby was on Discovery Channel on there's a show called Expedition X, and I can't. Josh Gab. What's the name of the main host?
Yeah, Josh Gabe.
Josh Gabe. Yeah, he travels all across the world. He's kind of like a fat Indiana Jones. Is how I would, I guess, portly Indiana Jones. I have no room to talk, but we probably would dine at the same buffets. Anyways, great show. It's highly entertaining. This is season 2, and this is something that happened a while ago. We all heard about in some of the Eastern Oregon news. I think Joel even actually brought it up on one of our earlier podcasts before the show even picked up.
Fascinating topic.
Yeah,
Fascinating
absolutely.
topic.
And so, the episode was called Roundup at Death Ranch, which I thought, wow, you kind of mailed that one in. And so, Colby, hey, thank you again for joining us and being part of this Reachers group this week. We really appreciate your time, putting your reputation on the line for being a part of this conversation. We do appreciate that. I figured once you went on Discovery Channel and gave yourself goosebumps, then you didn't mind coming on here. But so if you haven't seen the episode, A, I highly recommend it. B, you can go to Discovery on Demand and watch it there. And it's about these animals that were found, bloodless and these weird wounds and numerous animals, no tracks, none of this stuff. And so they went and interviewed Mr. Marshall because he was the main point of contact. So, Colby, if you will, kind of tell us about how they came into contact with you and kind of the timeline and this whole process and how you came to be where you're at now, man. It's pretty entertaining.
Wait, before Colby.
I'm on welfare, just so you know. Okay. Yeah.
Before Colby goes into this, I just want to say that I shared these stories with so many of my friends here in
Mhm.
New York, and they took a really deep interest in it. Like it kind of freaked them out, I think, and it freaks me out.
It's weird, yeah.
And I am so fucking thrilled to hear Colby talk about this. And I've alerted all my friends, like, we got a guy coming on podcast, talk about this.
This is a big time shit, man. Like, we're not messing around anymore. And
Uh,
there's some more news coming up after this, even. It's going to blow the socks right off the end of your toes. So just stick
I
around.
hope it's aliens. I hope it's aliens.
It's, I'm sure there's aliens were involved in this decision. Yeah. So, Colt, the stage is
You
yours.
bet. All right. Well, number one, again, thanks. This is this has been an interesting topic to discuss because in a variety of different ways, life experiences kind of all came together with this particular kind of situation. And let me just give you the background on why ultimately Discovery got involved and wanted to wanted to talk about it. So last summer in early August, I was the vice president on a very large cattle ranch in the east side of the state, and as part of my job, I was overseeing the livestock operation on top of the government relations, on top of the resort management. So I had kind of fingers and pies in all aspects of it. But over the years of managing the ranch, I'd spent a lot of time out horseback, moving cattle. You know, I knew the country, I knew the cattle real well. My team was a good team, and they contacted me first, you know, in this early August day, and they said, "Hey, we found a bull up here that's dead." And I said, "Well, you know, let me know what's the situation." And we always look for signs. What happened? Was he sick? Was he, you know, was there condition that, you know, would kind of give you a feeling or understanding of why that animal was dead? And
hey, wait,
and then
let me interrupt for 1 second. I'm just curious,
Yeah.
like in a normal course of a year, and this is a question for you, Colby, and Raleigh and Richard, do your cows ever just drop dead of non-suspicious circumstances?
Yeah.
Do they?
Yeah.
Do they have heart attacks and shit?
You'll lose them for a variety of different ways. I mean, if you're managing livestock, there's going to always be something that'll happen, especially if you're managing a large number of critters.
In remote areas too, you know, like large pastures in the middle of nowhere.
Yep. And you'll have sicknesses, you'll have injuries, you'll have anomalous kind of situations where, you know,
Great word.
You know, stuff just happens.
But if you have like 500 head cattle, like what would you expect to die? I fucking
2%.
lost that one.
2%.
1 to 2%. Yeah.
So that's like one a year.
You're gonna lose. You'll probably lose in a 500 head cow operation. You're gonna lose 3 to 4 cows for a variety of different, you know, reasons that they're gonna die. Notwithstanding this happens when they die from if they're given birth or if they get injured and whatnot. You're gonna have situations where, you know, things are just gonna happen. So it's not outside the bounds where you're going to lose an animal. And then on this particular ranch, we were running 100 head of bulls, and we had 1,600 head of breeding cows and whatnot. And so it wasn't uncommon for us to find, you know, an animal that was deceased out there. And our practices were that we necropsied. We basically did so here's a term for you. So necropsy is an autopsy on a 4-legged critter. An autopsy is with 2-legged critters. So a necropsy. And so we would necropsy these dead animals. And anyway, bottom line is the guys called me back about 20 minutes later and told me that they'd found a second dead bull. And that is completely odd. That just does not happen unless unless somebody is out there, doing something nefarious, shooting them, roping them, choking them down, not doing, that just never happens. And so anyway, we went, the Cowboys were there. We went and took a look at the bulls. And if you're around animals and you see them expire, if you find that they've expired, you see certain signs. There's if they die from a sickness, there's going to be secretions out of their nose, out of their mouth, out of their anus, out of their eyes, because they're if they die from an injury, you're going to see it. Their legs are going to be all broken. There's going to be bones sticking out. There's all this. There's signs, and there's always struggle. Animals that are sick or injured are trying to for their life, and so there's strike marks on the ground. The back of their hooves and their legs will all be beat up from trying to get back up. They'll bang their heads off the ground as they try to get back upright, and so their faces will all be beat up, and then the ground will be just completely thrashed on these critters. And this is a very normal thing when you come across the dead animal. And it gives you some indications on why they died. Well,
Raleigh, would you confirm that? Have you seen this?
Yeah.
You've seen the situation before?
Not the one.
Of dead bulls or of just a dying animal?
Just an animal.
Just a dying animal.
Yeah.
Absolutely. No.
Yeah.
Okay.
They're fighting to live, is what Colby's saying. Like, there's going to be like this aggression, this resistance, this impact of what's going on. It's not like they just took a headshot and went down. Yeah, unless that's what you find.
Right.
Yeah.
There's a lot of stuff you can gather from a dead animal.
Most definitely. Yeah. Tracks, prints, bruising, hair, a lot of stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. So when we come up to these dead bulls that are laying there on the ground, the first thing that you notice is that there's none of those signs. There's no scuff marks on their legs where they've tried to fight to get back up. Their faces aren't slammed into the ground, or their neck, there's places on the ground where their necks have swept back and forth while they've tried to look or pick themselves up. None of those signs are there. There's no signs of predators. There's no tracks of any kind. There's no people tracks. There's no coyote tracks. There's no horse tracks. There's nothing. There literally is the track of the animal, and then they're just laid over on their side. So that's the first thing. The second thing is that their main primary reproductive organs are just completely been cut away. So their whole region of where their testicles are, their penis has been removed, and their anus has been cut out, and their tongue is missing. Both bulls were in exactly the same situation. These pieces have been taken out, and there's no and the cut marks.
It's not ripped, it's not chewed. It's like surgically precision. Looks like. Yeah.
It's an absolute clean cut. It's not like somebody hacked it away. It's a complete sharp cut all the way around, and it's if you've ever cut open an animal, there's the hide, and then there's another layer there.
It's stratified. Yeah.
And they took the hide away, but the sack basically that holds all your guts in was not nicked or scarred or bruised or cut or anything. It remained in place, but all of this other material was gone.
There's no hide. There's no hide around the genitals.
Oh yeah, it's all covered.
All covered.
Yeah, it's like you've got skin over your everywhere. I'm guessing. I've never seen you naked, but I'm guessing.
I'm just trying to imagine the situation. Like, you're talking about hide.
Yeah, like hair. It's
cut
like
away hide.
Just think about hair, skin.
That is, but there's no hair and hide around the genitals.
Yeah, there is.
Yeah,
the hair
is
covering.
Oh, is there?
Yeah, it's full, and like, so some people speculated like, oh, it was coyotes. I've seen coyotes eat the ass out of a cow. I've seen a coyote crawl out the ass of a dead cow back into the world. It's completely different. than like this precision surgical, like almost looks like I pictured like what a laser would do if you were cutting an animal with a freaking laser. That's what it looked like in the pictures I saw.
That's what it looked like.
Yeah,
Yeah,
100%.
that's what I read. That's fast.
And you know how if you cut yourself, if you take and you cut yourself,
Don't do it. Oh, okay.
You always have blood or something running down your arm, or the wound is. Below that, you have blood running down. That's the other thing. There wasn't any drained blood from the wounds.
Mm-hmm.
So it is, and so that's the situation. So that's day one. Okay. So we find these two bulls in this situation on day one. The next day, we find 3 more of these bulls in exactly the kind of same area with exactly the same wounds, exactly the same kind of status. The bulls,
and you can't tell how they die, right?
No.
That's the big problem here. You don't know how they died.
I think that's a great point too, Colby's like no blood.
Yep.
Anywhere. Like you kill anything, there's gonna be blood. Like the whole, if a bull bleeds out, that's gallons in the dirt. Like that changes the landscape, That's crazy.
Wow. Yeah, there's 8 to 10 gallons of blood there.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a 2,000-pound Hereford range bull is a big critter. We're not talking about,
a chicken
here.
Yeah.
This is
I have a question. So this would be for Colby and Raleigh and Richard, to a lesser extent Micah, which I'm sure he's studied up on. But
I'm on welfare, so I don't know. Anyway,
if you were tasked with Raleigh, I'll ask you, Raleigh.
Sorry, go ahead.
Go see that bull out there in the field. Go kill it.
His testicles.
Go kill it. Don't leave any trace of how you did that, though.
that's difficult.
How could you possibly do that without using a gun? Because I have witnessed, and it was traumatizing when I was a kid. I watched somebody slaughter some goats, and it was traumatizing. They shoot them in the middle of the forehead, and then they slice their neck. That's much smaller than a bull. How are you going to take down a bull without something nefarious going?
I mean, like if you could rope the front feet and the back feet and get one around the neck and stretch it out tight, you're still going to leave some tracks.
Yeah, you're going to leave something behind. So
I think that's the most
there.
Like low impact way as far as like not leaving blood. Then I'm going to have to really give it like a neck IV and drain all the blood into something. And then
maybe you
my laser
walk up on it and inject.
No,
maybe you could walk up on it and inject it with something.
No, good luck with that
They
one.
make
Yeah.
dart guns.
Yeah.
They make a dart gun that you can actually shoot a projectile and doctor cattle with.
Sure do.
And if
Yeah.
I had to guess,
That's a good
that
point.
was the weapon that was used with some sort of poison in it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what you think happened. Somebody
Yeah,
poisoned a dart.
If I was going to try to achieve what you're just asking me to achieve, that would probably be a good way to go about doing it.
But aren't they going to get hit with this dart that has poison in it and be like, oh, fuck, that hurts, and then run a little bit?
Maybe, but they're just going to fall down. Yeah, so where they might have got stuck.
They're going to get 100 yards.
Yeah, you won't see
these
those
things that
tracks,
Colby's
though.
talking
It's
about.
not like
they drop dead in their place.
When they finally fall down, that's what's going to happen. They might stagger, but if I'm correct, Colby, from watching the show, there was like not really even many tracks around anywhere, right?
Yeah. So the question that you guys, this conversation that you is exactly the conversation that took place, on the range.
Sure. Yeah.
And in many subsequent conversations because we notified the police, we notified the Forest Service, we notified the sheriff's office, state cops, to try to get the word out about what happened up there, and see if we could get in. We even did a $25,000 reward for information leading to arrest and conviction, which is a substantial reward in the livestock world for something like this. And
it's 5 good bulls too. Yeah.
And you guys have brought up all the things that we kind of thought about. It's like, could somebody, somebody was maybe after the ranch, where they're out there roping them and monkeying around with them and killed them that way. But there weren't any rope burns on the animals. And if you latch onto a bull, if you rope a bull, you got to know what you are doing to handle that critter, especially if it is out in the wild, if you will. If you're out in an allotment and you rope a bull, you better know what you're going to do, because it is not going to be fun to try to turn loose of that thing. And if you want your rope back, you can toss your rope and let him just run off.
Donate that one to the round, yeah.
But there's no ropes. There's no rope burns on the trees. There's no rope burns on the animals. I mean, so I would love to continue hearing what your guys' theories are. We came up with a theory. I have a theory on how they did this.
That's what we're here for.
When you say they, who do you mean they?
Yeah, exactly. They. So here.
Tune in next week and find out on Far Reaches Part 2. Oh, yeah.
Part 2, exactly. Joel's going to be here for sure. So here's my theory on this, and it involves what Raleigh said. Number one, they've got to dart them with something, because they have to get them onto the ground to be able to bleed out and to take the testicles and the other pieces that they want. So the other piece, though, here, guys, is that in all of these animals, the tox screens that have been done, and this has been going on, it's another important thing for the listeners and viewers and everybody here to understand. This has been going on since the 60s in the West. There has been 6,000 confirmed cases across the Western United States since the 1960s, and it's been studied by the FBI, by institutions, by individuals that are interested in it. So this is unfortunately, this is not all that uncommon. It's becoming kind of more of a common thing after I found out about it. But anyway, so here's what I think happens. So I think that they dart them with some sort of a quickly metabolizing toxin. And in the horse world, especially in the racehorse world, they have different shots and that they will give to racehorses that basically cause them to go catatonic. While their heart will still beat, the horse will be able to be just laid down, and their muscles will all go rigid, and that allows the trainers and others to mess with their feet and their teeth and their eyes and all this other stuff. And then basically the toxin metabolizes, and so then it doesn't show up in any kind of a screen, and the animal jumps back up and away they go.
Well, so here's the problem with that theory.
Let me tell you what you're thinking.
Is why. Like, why do you want it? And then you steal the anus and the fucking dick.
Well, A, I still want to know who they is. And B,
why are these people, why do they want this so badly?
Do you think the stealing of the penile region is a distraction from something else, or do you think it's legitimately part of the ritual? And I think that partly depends on who you think they is.
I think they is some sort of a fervent group that they are harvesting these particular organs and the blood out of these animals for some sort of a reason that they want it from the wild critter, if you will. Because if you could go and purchase the blood, the organs, everything that you would need from your local butcher shop. I mean,
yeah, but there'd be a trail then, though. You'd know I was doing it, right?
Yeah, they would give those pieces and parts to you. So they're harvesting them for some reason. But I think they use that toxin to get these critters on the ground.
I'm sorry, I have to interject quickly. A local butcher. Oh, great! Here comes that Joel guy. I save all my anuses for this freaking guy. Like, he comes in twice a week, takes every anus I can get him, and doesn't ask a question. He's a great customer. But
can I go ahead and get a porterhouse and 2 cornholes, and you can just kind of wrap
exactly. Yeah. Oh, and 3 bags of blood, please. Thank you so much. Any penises this week? No, we're all out. Hey, how do you have penises and no anuses? Heifers. I don't have to tell you. Anyways, I just had to picture that whole consumer chain. Yeah, the
penile.
So basically, once the
Plural
animal
is
is on,
peni.
once the critter is on the ground, see, its heart's still beating.
Yeah, they can
And
bleed
this
it
is
out, and then
this is why I don't think they have any blood,
Yeah.
and why their tongues are all missing. Because when you go to bleed, Micah said it earlier, you'd probably stick them with an artery, stick them in the main vein or something.
Mhm.
Well, there's two main veins that run underneath your tongue. If anybody's ever bit their tongue, you know how bad it bleeds. And there's two veins that
Bleed
run
at
there.
all.
I think they pull the tongue out and they bleed the critter through the tongue, and then they cut the tongue out
Mhm.
because it's the only place that they have used as an injection site where somebody could figure out what the hell they're doing.
Yeah.
And then that's what actually kills the animal is they essentially bleed to death.
Yeah, but it can't move. So no thrashing, no anything else, and then they obviously
So,
do some kind of weird penis dance. And
So Colby thinks that they bite their tongue so hard they bleed to death.
no,
No.
not remotely. No, that's they bleed them out through the tongue region, is what they're saying. He was using it as an
That's
example.
ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
As a-
I've bit my tongue so many times. I've never drawn blood.
If there's any time you should bite your tongue, it's probably now. But anyways,
I don't think that's funny. I don't think.
I think
funny,
that's
Mike.
hilariously brilliant. If you ask me, I think that's beyond funny. To the team. No, he was saying that's like there's veins right there, so they're coming in somewhere and injecting and taking the blood out, and then they take the tongue to take that basically the evidence of that injection point.
That's right.
Finding that dart injection probably in the rump or anywhere is going to be literally a needle in a haystack.
You're forgetting motive, though. You're forgetting motive.
Who knows?
Here's
why,
the premise.
I mean,
it is
people do things for
alien. It is
really
an
weird.
alien life forms are doing this. They come here like, we need food. Here, there's a fucking cow.
Turns out the penis is the special fuel for the flux capacitor of an alien spaceship. It might very well be.
I imagine there's quite a bit of protein concentrated in the anus, in the testicular region, and the tongue. They're eating the muscle. And there's no blood. They take the blood, right?
Yep.
I think you have to disprove that this is not aliens right now.
This is still America, my good sir. We don't have to disprove anything. We don't have to prove innocence. So it might be.
I think this is the best evidence we'll ever have of aliens.
The conclusion of the TV show was aliens, wasn't that? Is that correct, Colby?
Well, they concluded.
Or government, the government.
Yes, the two things that they concluded is that one concluded that it was probably aliens, and the other one concluded that it was a government cover-up because the water ran
contaminated
down from Arlington, ran down into the John, ran up the hill across Star Ridge to get out of the John Day Basin, and then down and back into the Harney Basin. So it was the government that was doing all that to cover up the fact that they had basically created a nuclear food supply, and they, by killing these bulls, that's how they did the cover up.
Because there certainly would have been a lot more upstream, closer to the source. It would be over the river and through the woods, literally to your part of the world.
Yeah.
So that was their conclusion, was either the government or extraterrestrial. Yeah.
I mean, what's the word for the not obvious, or for the obvious answer? What is that word, Richard?
Obvious?
No, it's a more complicated word than obvious.
Conclusively?
Colby?
There's many.
Inconclusive.
Colby, is there any sign of blood at all?
No, not at all.
Well, nothing coagulated anywhere within the animal's body.
No, all the pictures I saw was just.
We opened up and did a necropsy on the first one, because that's the thing that I wanted to find out is, one, you see these two wounds that are identical, and it's like, that's just totally weird. But the kill was fresh, and so we could open them up, and it was, and that's why I came with this conclusion about bleeding them out, because it was exactly the same condition inside the body as if I would have butchered these animals. So like if I would have slit their throat and bled them,
right?
When you take the hides off of them, when you gut them out, there's blood in there, and there's pockets of blood in there, and that's what but it wasn't like if if you just, it's the difference between when you shoot an animal. If you shoot a deer or an elk and then you're gutting it in the field, there's blood everywhere.
Right.
And if you take it and to butcher it, and this is like they'd been butchered.
Having heard this story before, I think that it's odd that you just happened to be in the field relatively recently after the event happened.
Well, and that's
So-
my next question is,
How
Are
long
you
later?
accusing him?
through your necropsy, were you able to identify any kind of timeline?
Great question.
We thought we were there about 24 hours or less after the event.
Wow, really soon then.
And all 5 cases were relatively close in time.
Yeah, all 5 cases were within a 1-day period. I mean,
Do you think the second 3 were the same time or later on?
we think they were the same day.
Okay.
We just found them a day later.
Oh, okay. How far were they from the first point? If you don't mind me
They
just
were all-
peppering.
They were all spread out across a 1.5-mile drainage. So
Mhm.
one was at the very bottom of the drainage. The next one was next up. Next one was next up. And so, Raleigh, I think what they did is the people that were there, and I'm going to say people, but I think they stumbled across a pod of bulls. I think these bulls were all kind of hanging together. And I think they got the first, and if they didn't spook them out of there, like we've all done horseback, if you don't blow them out of there,
Mhm.
they'll all kind of hang together. And if you peel one off, the rest will kind of drift up a drainage.
Yep.
And you peel the next one off and they just drift up. And that's what it felt like to me, is that they got the first one and they did what they needed to do with that one. And then they went and found the next one, the next one, and the next one.
Were you able to find any sign of footprints, human sign at all?
No.
None whatsoever. And here's the other thing. And I know that I've taken a little bit of I think this becomes my new Micah nickname, even though I have to give it to myself. But I came up with I said it gave me goosebumps, and so now I'm. If you guys start calling me Goosebump, I'll understand. I get it, But
Well, we call
anyway.
spoon button, so it's close. Yeah. I think it's a different connotation when I call you Goosebump. Yeah, as I call spoon button. But yeah, anyway, so.
So here's the other thing about this, Raleigh, and for Richard, and for you guys will. What is unreal about this is that there was no scavenger activity on these animals at all. I mean, the birds would sit down on them and they would defecate on them, but they wouldn't peck the eyes out. They wouldn't chew the ears off. They wouldn't chew the nose off. The coyotes left them alone. You could go up there, like I did, months later, and the hides and the feet and the legs and the whole carcass and all of the skeletal remains were all right where they just melted into the ground. Those of us that have been out there horseback know that when you come across a dead animal that dies of natural causes or just was injured and dies, the critters get to them and they just rip them apart. They chew all the soft organs out of them. They start gnawing on their legs and their face and their hooves, and they start pulling them apart. And so that you got parts of these animals spread all over the hell and gone. These are all together. I bet we could go up there today and the hides would still be laying in the same spot.
Colby, did you guys ever completely skin one of them?
What's that?
Did you ever completely skin one of them?
When we necropsied the animal, when we necropsied the first one, basically we opened it all up and then I rolled the hide back. And so I basically skinned them back and rolled that skin all the way back. And we also took a metal detector up there and we tried to find any kind of bullet wound or any kind of puncture wound from an arrow or anything like that. And there wasn't, because I've had bulls, break their hips and stuff from fighting or having other bulls ride them or something. And then I've had to put them down and butcher them and whatnot. And then you take the hide back and you got a big bruise under the hide, or if they get punctured or shot, there's a big bruise there or whatnot. There's nothing under the hides. They were just like what I'm saying. It was like they walked along and fell over dead. I mean, it's unreal. There was no, how like if an animal is if you shoot an animal, if you're out hunting and you shoot an animal and they die and they're laying there and you're trying to find them and you find them an hour and a half later or whatnot, and you finally get them back and you're getting them all skinned out and whatnot, what the side that they've been laying on is darker to the hide, because that's what
all the blood came down.
Nothing like that.
Amazing.
Wait, so what happened? What happened, Colby? Do you think aliens?
Well, I'm not here. Here's the thing. I'm on thin ice with this, you guys, because here's the deal. If I blame the aliens, then they're going to come down in their ship, and I'm probably going to get the anal probers, and they're going to attack me. And that I just don't want to put myself out for that.
So for the record, Colby says it's aliens. Yeah, aliens. Yeah.
I don't know why they would be intent on giving you pleasure, but
oh my God! Wow, Mr. Joel, man, that's a backhand of the week right there. Like such a backhanded compliment. Really, that's wow. Literally did not see that coming. Wow, take a bow.
This is full contact.
Well, you can't sit down after that one. Wow, that was from Hayes Curl, Junior Curl. That's.
Hey, I'd love an alien come down from space and jerk me off.
Whoa, stop there now. That's whoa, easy now. Yeah. Now we're getting a little too deep. A little too deep even.
Now we're getting into some malarkey.
Yeah, totally some malarkey. Yeah, that's almost a little tomfoolery, if you will. Maybe. Yeah.
I wanna know, like, what is the put together? The fascinating part about the story is that there's no reasonable mind that can come up with a premise like this is what happened. We have no idea what happened.
It's unknown.
The best I sent around to some colleagues, and like, here's on the pbs.com or whatever it was the OPB or the public broadcasting. They wrote up a story, and they took a picture of the whiteboard that had possible explanations, and on the whiteboard was like Sasquatch, aliens. I think that Russia was on there.
Always,
like,
yeah, that's PBS. Right.
What is a legitimate explanation for this? And I can't see, knowing the facts of it, I don't understand. There's no reasonable explanation. And in that case, I lean towards aliens, as in they are exploring this earth and they need substance and they have different habits than we do. So here's a sequestered bowl. That'll be easy. Let's eat that. And we only eat dick and anus. So,
Joel, how many edibles have you had this evening?
A few.
What's that?
How many edibles have you had this evening?
I've not had any, actually.
Oh. Okay, if it is aliens, I think it's they're training the young ones on how to go capture societies. It's not experienced aliens looking for dick protein. It's when you take Junior out to hunt in the bad part of the world and he kills a bull, if it's aliens. Yeah, I don't think anybody can agree on what or how, what's causing this.
I think that people, especially if they're involved in some sort of an organization that says, hey, we've got to have these parts or pieces, or you have to do this in order to be part of a group. I think that is the reasonable explanation here, is because you're dealing with people that it's so hard for people to understand why anybody would do this, is because you're just not part of that organization.
Yeah.
But I really think that's why they do it. It's some sort of a test. It's a rite of passage. It's something that they need to prove that they can. And again, it's going on since the 60s.
Yeah, that's my next question. At what point in the 60s has this started? Did they have a year?
About when LSD came out?
Yeah, kind of a mid-60s sort of time frame, Raleigh, is basically what everybody in the...
And geographically, did they have a parameter on the locations?
Yes. I know this one.
Yeah, go for it, Rick.
37th Parallel. I've been trying to work this book in since the beginning. It's one of my favorite books I've ever read, by the guy that wrote The Social Network. And what else did he write?
But it's not the 37th parallel, is it? I mean, it's well
Yep.
above that.
Yep.
The 45th
Well,
is Baker.
the most common cases, greatest
Okay.
history of this is on a belt across the 37th part, completely around the world.
Yeah.
And really, we're not that far from the 30. We're between
No,
the
the 45th runs just north of Baker's, where the 45th is, by Lake Bob.
Yeah.
Has
so
this
we're below
taken place in other countries?
Yes.
Yeah.
And the other interesting thing, what Colby describes is exactly how everybody else describes it. But what they didn't do is most of the time when you test the sites, they have they're radioactive.
Right.
And so this book is it's an amazing book, and it's by a really good author. I mean, he's written 3 of my favorite books, and this is one of them. But and there's people there's a thing called the Skywalker Ranch. There's Skinwalker Ranch, and
Skywalker Ranch is where George Lucas lives.
Yeah. Anyways, the Skinwalker Ranch. There's this whole like little cottage industry of people that go around and professionally investigate these individuals, and like the government follows it to a certain point, but like there is this treasure trove of these databases full of these incidents that private individuals are keeping up and financing whole little industries. It's amazing.
But I guess the bottom line, I'll get your question in a second, Rolf. Go ahead. Actually, I think it'd be interesting to hear your question first.
What other species is this taking place in?
Great question, Rawls, because that is it. It's not just bovines. It happens in horses, and it happens in sheep, and it's happened in other places around the world in goats. So it's primarily mammal. It's mammals, number one, and they're going after reproductive organs, and it's not just the males. The Terry Anderson, who I can use his name on here because he's interviewed and been part of the conversations here up out of Pendleton there. He had his first experience was in the 70s with it, and it happened about 400 yards from an area where they were working cattle, and it was a female. It was a cow, and same kind of situation, side of a hill, no tracks, no sign, no nothing, and they had taken the udder from the.
Because my first thought was about maybe the dominant or the alpha of the area when you're talking about these different species, but when you mentioned the female getting taken, a boss cow probably doesn't really fall into that sector. So, but still being the reproductive focus, certainly interesting. Yeah.
The most recent events in Oregon, actually, one happened last year at this time, just south of Brothers, a cow that was found mutilated, udder removed, and then a large chunk of her cheek muscle had been taken as well. And then here recently, up out of Fossil, and this is just a couple months ago, there was a cow found mutilated, but she was staged. And so I kind of wonder if that one actually falls into the same category, or if it was somebody that was trying to mimic it, because set up on her front legs, basically like she was just kind of laying there. But the weird part about it was that she was also catatonic. Her head was out. When they found her, she was basically just kind of like she was laying there. She was dead. So, but she was sitting up, Raleigh. It wasn't like she was on her side.
But bottom line is, no matter all this investigation, speculation, coagulation, there's no definitive answer to any of this as of yet. Correct?
This is the one thing. This is one thing since I've been thinking about this that I can't. It's mostly domestic livestock, and the people usually always find it. Like they never find it in a. It's usually within a couple days of when the event happens.
Right.
So you got mostly domestic. Like this is not something that they record in wildlife. I haven't seen many instances of like this happening with elk, caribou, or buffalo. Actually, I think
those animals are too quick.
Okay. And then but the fact that it seems like whatever group this is has to be sort of across multiple locations, and they have to know enough to know when the people are going to find the animal.
Yep.
Because I've never heard any of these stories where they found the animal 2 months later in the condition. It's
So you
always
think
within 48 hours.
finding the
72
animal
hours.
is part of the situation also? Like they want somebody to find and know about it? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, because how would we have this? Like I said, there's this whole people that keep these giant databases. How would we have giant databases of mutilated animals if it wasn't set in such a way that people would find it?
But don't you think eventually by now, like I'm thinking from I've watched too many CSI shows, if they're leaving that sort of evidence behind, eventually they're going to get more sloppy because they want more attention, or they want to eventually perhaps even get caught. Don't you think since the 60s and thousands of animals that they would get more towards that discovery phase? Or
That's
just a
probably
constant
probably like sleeper cells.
Perhaps so. I'm just thinking about human psychology, and eventually you're going to want people to know who you are and what you're doing. If you're leaving them behind for that sort of discovery as it is, perhaps not. But I view it that from that viewpoint is eventually I want to get caught, because ultra secret society, I don't want you to know that I exist,
The other thing too, in the theory that I've been professing here, they do this. I actually think that they need a team of people to do it.
Oh, certainly, yeah.
You need to have, and my thought was, you need to have at least 3, if not 4 people, because you need an animal that is just dead. Is all the parts and pieces are heavy, and so. They're packing out the tongue, they're packing out the organs, and they're packing out all the blood. And so that's a lot of weight.
That's a couple hundred pounds, probably, or close to it.
And if you take a bull, if you knock a bull down and you go to cut those organs out and take that penis off and all of that, you got to have somebody there holding up the leg as they're laying down on their side. They got to have somebody holding up the leg in order to make those cuts as precise as they make the cuts. And at the same, so you got to bleed them, and you got to cut them, and you got to pack that stuff away. I think, and you have to have a spotter. I think you've got to have somebody watching out, because otherwise, somebody could just drive up on you unless, you got somebody watching. So I think it takes a team of people to do it.
Oh, absolutely. I think about just the logistics about, you think those 3 bulls were done that in one night alone. I'm not sure how long it takes to bleed out a bull, but it's probably at least a half an hour if you're going to get all of it. Not to mention I'm thinking if that other bull smells the blood, that's going to be some impact, or just the rustling about. You still have got just the simple logistics, taking one bull down and getting to the next one, and then all that stuff within an evening, basically from dark until daylight, and then gone before somebody's going to see your tail lights.
Right.
That's a pretty significant team. So yeah, I don't think it's one dude is a brave, with the face paint going out to prove his worth to this society, if you will. I think it's probably a ritual if it is them, and this is part of their process. And maybe part of that is maybe you have to be part of the cutting or the blooding or the shooting it down or whatever. But part of me also, I'm wondering about, so we've kind of discussed about this earlier, and Rawls brought up the great point about the dart guns and things of that nature. You think back to the 60s, they might have had some, maybe blow darts, or maybe like a bow and arrow or some way. Obviously, we didn't have the forensics that we have now. And it might have been a lot sloppier back then, or nobody cared as much. But it's interesting to see that progression, as well as some of the technology involved in how they find these animals and what they do with them afterwards, and just what we can hopefully continue to trace, I guess. I think the interesting point is that we don't really know what happened. After all these years, your expertise on the ground, putting up with the whole people on the TV show, which we hardly even covered what they talked about, and all their interest and all the shit that they went through with their idiocy, we still can't point a finger in any one direction at all.
know,
has there been any cases since this, besides the one you mentioned briefly about in Brothers area? Has there been anything else going on in that world?
Well, there's the two. There's the two. The one in Brothers, one in Fossil, and those are the Pacific Northwest. I don't know if there's been other cases across the West as of right now. I should look that up and find out, but I'm not aware of any others outside of the area here.
I'm going to sidetrack for just a little bit, and then we'll probably almost beat this part of the jerky. But can you give us some insight into how it was of working with the folks from the Discovery show and how they contacted you and sort of some of that insight as well? I'd be interested to know.
Yeah, that part of it was so after the event and after it got known, I did a lot of interviews with. I interviewed with BBC, CNN, Fox. I did random, even Ripley's Believe It or Not, actually. And so there was, because of just this discussion, it's like, that is just so odd. Well, Discovery was one of those interviews, and they just basically asked me some questions. And then they contacted me, their production team contacted me out of their New York office. And it was one of those things that they were vetting me to see if I was,
crazy.
If I
tinfoil hat,
that shit crazy, And so anyway, they and then after they did the vetting, and we actually
they're probably like, he's not crazy. He's not that crazy, but I think he could still make this work.
Maybe
it's worth a flight. Yeah.
I like so, people a little crazier.
Yeah. So then after that, it was just a matter of kind of getting things set up, and they ended up the ranch that this took place on did not want to participate in the production, and so then they found alternative sites to be able to shoot the different scenes on, and so all of those sites were set up. Mostly just outside of John Day area where they were. And then we all had to go through vetting for COVID testing. So, I had to get tested and the whole bit, because it was a very contained operation. And at that point, COVID was sort of kind of at the high point of concern, if you will. And so anyway, it was really interesting to kind of be inside that bubble. And then we went up to the shoot site, and we ended up going through the storylines and set up the scenes, and they did a really good job of kind of having all the different production pieces in place. Go even to the effect of having a dead bull that they kind of brought into the and what I found. I told my dad, who's still actively involved in the business of ranching, and I told him, I said, it's kind of fascinating. I'd never actually watched a critter, kind of a bloat, and they did that the video
time lapse,
in time lapse. It's like that was really kind of actually for an ag person, that was kind of an interesting thing to watch.
It really was, especially the bloating parts, if you will,
Yeah. So it was a good team to be involved with. There was some interesting discussion off camera about it, just like what we're talking about here. And they were very intrigued by it, and they wanted to try to tell the story. But they were also know that it was made for TV, and they needed to bring some of these other pieces in: aliens, government conspiracy. All of those pieces need to be part of the story. So.
How long were they there from start to finish?
On site, I think they were there almost a week on site, and that's getting there, getting set up, ready to rock and roll, doing the shooting, following up on anything that they might have missed, and then they were out. But it was probably all within about a 5-day period of time. Yeah.
What's the one thing that kind of surprised you most about the whole process that you hadn't thought about, or you kind of like, I didn't think that's how that worked, or some kind of that insight about the whole situation, if there was something?
What was really surprising to me is I suspected that we were going to go into it, and that was going to be basically given something to say. Here, we want you to do this. And quite honestly, it wasn't like that at all. It was more like, hey, this is the stage, this is what's happening, but tell us your story, using this backdrop. And so they really kind of let me say whatever it was that I wanted to say or describe what I wanted to describe. So a couple of times they had me, because they knew that they were going to be using what I was going to say to transition. So like when we wanted to go drive up and see where the animals were, they wanted me to say, it's rough country. So, but other than that, it was pretty much left me to do what I wanted. So it was great.
I probably could circle those moments from watching the show, and I was like, that's not what Colby would say at this point, or that's being TV'd a little bit, because I know you so well. And so that's one of the reasons I asked that question. And I think that's just part of like their production that they have to do to get the story told, I think. But yeah, I think it's you always want to know, like, we watch, like, the first time I watched Axemen or, Ice Road Truckers or all these shows, like, I don't know shit about Ice Road Trucking or, or Deadliest Catch. I know a lot about Axemen. So I watched Axemen, and I'm like, they're adding a lot of drama to this whole situation. Like, people don't freaking do that or act like that. And so you always have that sense of like, how much of this is sprinkled in and how much is like really what's going on. And so
I did appreciate, the private trailer and the personal masseuse that was on site for me.
And the field grapes. Yeah.
So
I was Chuck, your local Burns masseuse.
Richard's asking too many details once again. Yeah, like that's only for you, Richard. Nobody else knows about him. Really, that's a little awkward. Yeah. Richard thinks you show up to the Apple Peddler and spin your hat twice, and everybody gets a massage. Yeah. No, sir. Yeah. So, are you glad that you did the show with them? Do you think they treated you fair? Do you think it was a worthwhile experience?
I think it was a really cool experience. So yes, the short answer is yes. It was a great experience. The show was great. The people were great to work with. I think they were fair with my part of the story. I wish that they would have, and I know it's hard and it's complicated, but I'd love for them to have kind of talk a little bit more about how I thought that it actually had happened out on the ground.
Yeah.
So, and I guess my only disappointment in the whole thing is COVID is really screwing up my speaking engagements because I think I could have really
milked that. Yeah.
I think I can milk the whole thing here, and I'd probably be speaking at the association of folks that would be gathered in Roswell right now, and I really think that it's going to just it's hurting me, honestly. It's really kind of depressing my acting career.
A lot of stuff's on hold. I think there's a lot of potential for the coming year. I think we'll keep the story alive. We'll certainly invite you back for round 2 if that'll help you out in any way, shape, or form.
That's why I do this. That's why I got a podcast, and spend the time, with you guys, is just in the hopes that maybe somebody watches this and wants me to come talk to them.
Well, really we are probably the fifth largest. The fifth largest Eastern Oregon outlet.
Yes. 5th largest 4-person, bi-weekly, sometimes weekly, somewhat agricultural / political based podcast in the Northwest, for sure. Yeah. So, I mean, you got that going for you. So I think you're in for some good stuff. Yeah.
Next stop after dark.
Yes.
My concern is I've been watching Raleigh tonight, and I don't know if I've truly convinced him of this.
No, he doesn't believe a thing you say, Colby. Yeah. He is so skeptical.
He's kind of used to
he's like I could kill a bull without it moving a bit. Take all its blood.
No, one punch right in the eyes. Yeah, that's my Uncle Buckwheat's version. Yeah,
just punch it in the nose.
I'm gonna bite its dick off and walk away. Yeah.
I bet Joel's the only one on this podcast that didn't listen to our After Dark with Art Bell.
Oh,
And
yeah.
Colby, I'm sorry that
I
Art passed away before you could actually get on the show with the legend, the original.
This would have been epic. Yeah.
Absolutely. I would have loved that.
This would have been blasted up and down the West Coast for sure. And then all places in between. I can hear the theme music right now. If I'd have been planning ahead better, I'd have it ready to go right now. It'd have been perfect. Yeah.
Yeah.
Coast to coast with Art Bell. Yeah. It'd have been perfect.
Just imagine.
I don't know how many times driving across the desert at night I'd listen to that. You know,
Like,
early morning,
crack of dawn, like 3:30 a.m. You're searching. Oh, there's Art Bell. I'm good to go. I can make it home now. Yeah, it's yeah. Dynamite drop in.
Right.
If we don't talk about Jocko, we talk about Art Bell. That's pretty much our modus operandi. Yeah. It's well,
I don't know how many times I was out at cow camp and I'd start the pickup, charge the battery, listen to ArtEll, and freak my ass out. The stars,
especially out of cow camp in the middle of the butte.
You're
Yeah.
looking up
Like who needs The Shining? All you need is a remote location and Art Bell. You're fine. You just freak the hell out of
The
yourself.
desert sky shining down upon your minute ass.
And I don't want Joel to leave without getting me wrong, because there's been times, to your point, Richard, where you're out there horseback on the desert or out there by yourself, and it is galaxy from one side to the other, and it's starlight, and you're looking up in there and you're going, you know, I guarantee there's more life out there.
I can't be the only
than just us
here. Yes.
Absolutely. And so I've thought about that a lot in this situation. It's like, well, who knows? But I've been in those spots where you're like, I am just a little speck on a rock flying through the universe here. So there's got to be more.
No, that got Raleigh's head tilted. Yeah.
Is
he a cardboard cutout? I think Raleigh's just a cardboard cutout. He's not even there. He fucking left an hour ago. He's just head tilted.
He's been watching the
look at this.
I like how Raleigh looks off to the right and left like this.
Oh, Raleigh's watching the NFR.
Yes, speeders. People are giving him information.
Well, his fat wife is vacuuming. He's watching NFR. He's pretty happy. Yeah. So.
Yeah, he's looking like he's either looking at the dog or the trains all the time, or his wife. I'm not sure.
What it looked like to me when we first got started is I thought, oh, Raleigh's trying to do the Brady Bunch thing, so we're all going to look down.
Yeah, this is the story of the Far Reachers. Yeah. Except you don't know where you're at on the screen. We're all at different spots. Yeah, that's hilarious.
Yeah.
We'll have to think of the Far Reaches
so
Brady Bunch
quiet.
song. That would be awesome. Yeah. This is a story of 4 dumb assholes who were very bored and living on their own. Yeah, it would be so fun. Yeah. Joel, that's your assignment. Yeah. I think this is the perfect segue to our next featured part of the weekly podcast. And I'm going to skip around just a little bit because we've definitely taken some good amount of our efforts towards this amazing subject and our special guest. But nobody else on the podcast knows this yet. And I'm gonna announce it at this exact moment. And please, if the shoes fly off your feet with the socks and knock your camera over, please do your best to stand it back up and put it in place so we can get you all in frame. But I'm so proud to announce our next segment of our podcast, and it's one of everybody's favorites, I know, and it is indeed the Far Reaches Intellectual Moment of the Week. And we've got a brand new sponsor we just brought on board today. So excited. They have signed up. They are 100% in to be the official sponsor of this segment of the Far Reaches Intellectual Moment of the Week. And I couldn't be prouder. I couldn't be happier. And I'm almost tearing up because I'm so happy to announce that as of this moment, our good friends at Pendleton Mixer and Cigar in Pendleton, Oregon are the proud sponsors of the Intellectual Moment of the Week of the Far Reaches podcast. First week right here.
Wait. Is that
You heard me right, Joel.
Is that Junior?
Pendleton Mixer and Cigar, 237 Southwest Immigrant in beautiful downtown Pendleton, Oregon. They are our newest sponsors of the Far Reaches podcast, and specifically the Intellectual Moment of the Week. So we're going to do them proud every time we get the chance, and this is their inaugural episode. Couldn't be better. All this great conversation we have with Colby and the aliens and all of these other a-holes that are here tonight. And so we're going to kick off this session. I've got a nice intellectual moment. I think it fits in well with our previous conversations. Once again, I sort of did the close your eyes and stick your finger on the globe and find a great kind of quote or intellectual moment. So I'm going to bust out this moment for us, and we can cuss and discuss among us. But again, thank you to our good friends at Pendleton Mixer and Cigar for sponsoring this segment. So here comes our quote, our intellectual moment, if you will. And guys, hang on, this is kind of deep, but I think we can all handle this. Here we go. If you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. And that's by Mr. Wayne Dyer, American psychologist. He wrote a great book called Your Erroneous Zones, Step-by-Step Advice for Escaping the Track of Negative Thinking and Taking Control of Your Life. So once again, if you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. And I thought, and I didn't pair this with our conversation and our topics tonight, but I think it certainly plays well with our previous conversation about, is it aliens? Is it a penis-hungry cult? We don't know. And so I thought, that's pretty appropriate. I'm just going to keep that randomness, and I think it fits very well with our brand new sponsor, Pendleton Mixer and Cigar, as well. So I thought, let's cuss amongst ourselves, if you will, what your thoughts are on this great quote for our intellectual moment of the week. Joel, I know you're dying, but I'm going to go Raleigh instead. Rawls, what do you think?
Trying not to.
You want me to read it again? Should I say it out loud one more time so it really seeps in deeper? All right.
Did you say you wrote a book about erogenous zones? Is that what we're talking about here?
No, my good little perverted sir.
Oh, okay.
Erroneous. Erroneous. Yep.
Sorry, it must be the connection.
If it was erogenous, it'd have been on my shelf. I could have told you all about it. Yeah. So here's the quote one more time for those of you in the cheap seats. If you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. I.e., if you stop and look around, you're going to see different things. If you think about things differently, you're going to see different things. So at first, when you hear it, like, oh, that's some mumbo jumbo Bolshevik, if you stop and really kind of dissect it a bit more, as I did, I'm like, I can buy into that, because you start looking at things a little bit differently. You're going to see a different angle. You're going to see a different point of view, I think was really what they're getting at.
So one of the things I'm going to just kick off here.
I'd appreciate that. Yeah. As an honorary reacher.
Yeah, exactly. All right. I'm just going to jump full-fledged here. One of the family mottos, if you will, that we kind of go by is the power of positive attraction. And basically what it means is that you think positively about something, that eventually something positive will happen with that particular situation. And it goes back to this particular quote. If you look differently at something, then it's going to be different in your mind. Yeah. And so if you can look at the same thing and you can say, oh, shit's going to happen. It's going to go negative. This is all going to go wrong. You take the exact same situation and you look at it in a positive light, and all of a sudden you have a whole different perspective on it. So the power of positive attraction, I think, plays into this quote.
Yeah, one of my favorite points of view is if you think you can or you think you can't, either way you're right. Yep. It's really what that's sort of, and that's maybe a little Pollyanna for some people, but that's completely how I see things. And so I think it definitely parallels to what you're talking about as well, Cole. So,
yep.
Rawls, insight, thoughts, discussion, ponderings?
Life is going to be what you make of it.
100%. How you approach it, how you accept it, how you deal with it, up to you, really. It could be good news or bad. How you digest it and move on is really up to you.
Your attitude has a lot to do with things, and the way that you perceive things through your lenses is typically how it's going to be. It's just a matter of putting on a different set of glasses and looking at it different, so to speak.
Yeah, I completely agree. Yeah.
Yeah, it makes sense to me. I still don't see things through an alien's eyeglass, so it's a little hard for me to believe that somebody zoomed down here in
Hunting penises.
Yeah, but no,
I don't know.
Totally makes sense.
Richard,
That's the one that reminds me of the most is you are the 5 people that you hang out with.
oh, I love that, dude. Yeah.
Yeah.
And looking at this fucking crew, I'm in big trouble.
Just gonna say, it's brutal.
Like, can we all be screwed equally? Is that true? Like, we're all, man, that sort of says something, doesn't it? Yeah.
But yeah, I was thinking of this today. I was standing in the corral sorting cattle. I can't remember what was. Oh, we exposed some cattle to foothills, so we're seeing a little bit of what we expect, some cattle slipping and stuff. So or calves and some early abortions, but so my partner, he immediately started going like pessimistic on what it is, that it could be bad, but it doesn't really help not to have an optimistic outlook on, especially in businesses. I used to worry. I used to be pessimistic about stuff, and the more that I learned to be optimistic about my business dealings, the better I actually started doing. So I do believe there's a lot in the way that you look at things, and I think there's the mantra that you people will teach you, and you can pay gurus to teach you, and that kind of stuff. And then there's just age and treachery, and finally figuring out that a positive outlook on life usually colors everything in much better light and makes life much easier. And like, I think I've internalized it so much to the point that it just drives me crazy I avoid negative, pessimistic people at all costs if I
absolutely.
can. Because, yeah, just once you sort of tap into that energy, then it's the being around the people who are tapped into pessimism make it even more hard to stay upbeat.
They're both contagious as hell. Good or bad, upbeat or downbeat. I think downbeat's probably even more contagious than upbeat. But yeah, I just don't tolerate that downtrodden. I don't tolerate the negative, like we can't do this, we can't do that. And instantly call bullshit and say, don't tell me what you can't do. Let's find a way to do whatever we can. Like that. It's that point of view. Like again, it goes back to, whether you think you can or you can't, you're right. And so that's what I appreciate about that point of view. But Joel Hayes Call Curran, you got anything to add to
that? Repeat the quote.
I would be more than happy to. If you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change.
Right. So I immediately thought of Don Draper.
I want a bourbon too. Yeah.
The best character in the best TV show that's ever been made, Mad Men. And I quickly went and looked up the exact quote that I was thinking of.
Oh, awesome.
The quote was, I already forgot, but if you don't like what they're saying about you, change the conversation.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that sounds like definitely Draperish. Yeah,
that is immediately what I thought when you said your quote.
Well, it's highly correlated for sure.
Yeah, I'm not sure where I'm going with it, but
it was worth the journey, though. I'm thinking about Don Draper, 10 a.m., bourbon, cigarettes. You don't like it? Pound sand, really, which takes us back to our official slogan of the Far Reach podcast, Pound Sand. Yeah.
His quote, I mean, if you don't, and I think people just generally employ this, whether they know it or not. If you don't like what they're saying about you, you change the conversation. Everyone's looking for everyone's looking to be looked at in the best light possible, right?
Ooh, there's some, you done stepped in the deep stuff there, son. Yeah. That's, and I think the more that some people care about that light, the probably the worse it might be overall also. Yeah. That's a little more
Yeah,
Western. Yeah.
yeah, you can take any narrative that's out there and you can reframe it, look at it in a different light, and maybe it becomes less scary, kind of a
That's
thing.
because there's knowledge gained and different points of view on it. Maybe you came at it from one angle, and as you learn about it, you look at it from another. Maybe somebody brings a new angle to light for you because they come from a different direction. As in our earlier communist conversations, I think we both learned stuff out of those.
The danger is, of course, that they want to do something outlandish, and you can easily rebrand it as something not so scary.
Well said.
And people won't get up in arms about it. I think that is kind of scary in itself.
Definitely ups and downs.
I didn't come prepared with any examples, but
well, we have
maybe next week
you should
do
definitely ruminate on it until next adventure. Yeah, I think for our inaugural Pendleton Mixer and Cigar Intellectual Moment of the Week, I think that's some pretty top drawer stuff right there. I think they more than got their money's worth, and I think we're grateful for them, and they're most likely grateful for us. It's pretty safe to say that. So once again, thank you, Pendleton Mixer and Cigar, for your sponsorship of the Intellectual Moment of the Week, and we hope to do you proud every time we have intellectual moments, and you'll certainly be part of our thoughts when we do. Harumph. We're gonna jump around again and be in a little bit this week, slightly different format, but I think really excited to go the next part about what we learned. And again, I'll emphasize for those of you who listen every week, I always say, don't overthink it. It might be something you think somebody else learned, like I learned that Colby has great decorations in the basement, but also a cat, so that's disappointing. There's a lot of things. So we're going to go with our next segment about what we learned. And we're going to start with Mr. Bradbury. Richard, what have you learned? Again, don't overthink it. There should not be heat waves and gears grinding in this segment. This is really sort of a fun, quick, quirky, off-the-cuff sort of segment. I think we should probably frame it as that way if I had to really define it.
Yeah, no, I'm going to do the opposite and make
that's
it super.
That's what I was hoping for. Yeah. Let's really deep dive this, cerebral, grind this to a complete halt, obscure reference of some sort. I would be so happy if we could do that.
I learned that individual people over a lifetime can have a tremendous impact on other people. And
well stated,
some
sir.
people you just think about a little bit more after they pass. And but it's interesting how we memorialize people. Like in the digital era, you could have all this kind of stuff, but I looked at it again this week, and I was scrolling down through my phone looking somebody up, and I passed over somebody that was dead. I never deleted from the phone.
Wow.
Because I like those little moments when you see those people. And usually if they're on my phone, I probably already liked them, or at least something good comes of it. Yeah. So I have a positive opinion of the ones. There's a lot of people on my phone I'd be happy to think of as dead in the other light. Anyways.
That's an antithesis of that conversation. I think as we continue I think we're at a unique point of our world and technology and our age that there's going to be a lot of moments that we scroll through our phones and, see people that aren't alive anymore. And it used to be done as you read the paper and the obituaries for breakfast and figured out that, oh, Stan's dead now. And now it's going to be, we find that on our phone. So I think it's a more permanent way to have that remembrance. It's in an odd way. So, yeah, I think that's pretty cool. Colby, since you're our special guest this week, I'd really be interested in your insight about perhaps what you learned, either about us or about you or about both.
Well, it was a great experience. I hope I get a chance to come on back because this is a lot of fun.
As far as you know, yes.
Yeah. I don't know what you guys are going to do with this later on in terms of the cutting floor. I could come out brutal, but
You'll be like, oh, Colby couldn't join us this week. That's too bad. We'll go on next week. Yeah.
But I got to share this one because my daughter Hadley shared this one with me today, and I thought that was really something. So she is now a senior in school, and on her way to becoming an EOU mountaineer. She's headed up to Eastern, and she's probably going to, study the sciences up there. And so, anyway, bottom line, yeah, she said to me today, she goes, so I've got something I got to tell you, Dad. And I said, yeah. She said, oh, yeah? What? And she goes, well, here it is. She goes, you can't trust an atom. And I said, what do you mean you can't trust an atom? And she goes, because they make up everything.
Jesus.
That's
Nerd alert. Level. Nerd alert. Yeah.
And so, anyway, there is what I learned. That is the big one for the week right there.
That's glorious. Glorious. Yeah. Something tells me she's going to be a lot better off than all of us, which is good.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Have you guys heard of the Mandela effect?
Oh, here we go again.
Yes.
Richard and his crazy. Yeah, no, we have not.
Richard, I know about the Mandela effect. Yes.
Is that why everybody's named Nelson?
No, Mandela effect. I'll let Richard talk about the Mandela effect a little bit, but it's incredible.
I'm sorry. I thought that was way funnier than it was. Go ahead, Richard.
Interesting Mandela effect experience, and Colby just jogged my memory on it. I could have swore if you asked me what the mascot of EOU was, I would have said the Pioneers. And I was looking up on somehow I came across it on the website or something, and it was the Mountaineers. And I was like, 100%, I would have said it was the Pioneers. And I have a vivid picture of it, and it's the Pioneers in my mind. It is, and so that's my Mandela effect.
Dude, don't you remember when they were going to change the mascot of the Mountaineers, and we found out about it, and you and I went and talked to Ralph Lewis's class and said, look, we're technically Oregon State students, so it's not really anything to us, but they want to change the mascot to a freaking emu or something stupid, and you guys should know about it. So how you forgot?
I was saving the Pioneer. So
anyway, I still don't know what the hell the freaking Mandela effect is. It means you're fucking wrong? Is that what it means?
Here's the Mandela effect. I think this is the most obvious example. Is do you recall a movie with Sinbad where he was dressed in a purple genie outfit?
I remember some stand-up and he was dressed in some purple shit, kind of like Eddie Murphy, yeah.
So, well, most people seem to remember Sinbad in a movie where he played a genie. Do you remember that at all?
Didn't Shaquille O'Neal, wasn't he the genie?
He did, yes. Separate movie. But Sinbad never played that part. The other one is the Berenstain Bears and how you spell Berenstein.
Bernstein, yeah, whatever, yeah.
Yeah, I think these bears are Jews because they're actually spelled Berenstein.
I still don't know what the Mandela effect is. I think it just means you're wrong.
It means like everybody has a collective memory of something that didn't actually happen.
Gotcha.
There are a
it's
bunch
like mass
of examples
confusion
of it.
almost. Like
yeah,
there's enough commonality underneath that it makes your conception seem right.
What is this? Is somebody next to a river? What's going on with this background noise?
It's pouring down rain in my little shanty, and so I apologize for the background noise. Yeah.
Is that what it is? Is it raining that hard?
You guys can hear it? Yeah, I didn't know if you can hear it. Yeah.
That's loud as shit.
So I'm going to ask Rawls to say what he learned. I'm going to put it on mute real quick so y'all can hear him.
what I learned this week. The livestock business is a small world.
How small?
Real small.
Real small. I would never taken livestock to the Lewiston livestock yard, and I have, however, been up there and bought some heifers through a separate sale that was it was just a production sale for bred heifers, and through that world, I mean, we did well on our calves that we took up there this week, and you really start to see the connections that you make within the industry that affect your business later on down the road, and how people communicate and people talk, and it's a unique industry, and it's a lot of fun to be a part of.
So when you go sell your herd, right? Do you take like 4 of them that are representative of your herd?
No, we loaded a semi.
It's like, hey guys, I have 300 more where this one came from.
No, no, not necessarily. I mean, marketing these days, there's a lot of video marketing that gets done on the ranch through sales abroad. But in this case, where you're going to a local livestock yard, you take what you want to sell and load it on a truck and haul it over there, and it goes through a sale ring, and they buy the lots of calves that come through.
And why are people buying these? What are they doing with them?
Taking them to feedlots generally, or pasture where they can turn them out and grow them up and put them back into the food market eventually. I mean, that's the
So that's the end seller. That's the guy at the end of the chain that's going to actually slaughter them.
Not necessarily going to slaughter them. I mean, it just depends. There's a multitude of people that are in a sale ring buying cattle. Some of them are feeders. Some guys have got some feed that they need to utilize, and they may go utilize that amount of feed and bring them back and sell them again. You never know who's buying. Generally, there are some large buyers that are representing larger feedlots and larger conglomerates that are doing most of the buying, and a lot of those.
That's what Ron Curran Jr. does, right?
Absolutely.
Affirmative, yeah.
Example.
He buys cows for a lot of different people and some for himself. And, it might be a bred heifer sale every once in a while where you're looking for replacement cows to bring into your herd. You sold some off the top end, some older cows. You're going to bring some younger ones in, either open heifers or bred heifers.
Aren't you kind of looking at just a few of them, and then from those few, you'd be like, well, the rest of the herd kind of looks like these ones.
Yeah, I mean, I would say that would lend more to the video marketing, and the larger sales that they have that are online or on video auctions. They'll come out and take a representative video of your herd, and that's what the buyers get to look at. And they're buying cattle that are 3 to 4 months prior to your shipping a lot of times, and so you're projecting a weight and a product that you're going to have at that point in time, and they're bidding on that weight and that product that you're projecting. So yes, to your point, there is some selling situations that are similar to that. So, but
Colby would have done that recently, but all of his cows got killed by aliens.
Yeah, that's hard. It's hard to do when you're not only fighting the market, the government, but the extraterrestrials. I mean, cattle business is tough.
Especially with no penis. Yeah, that definitely is it. You're already stoned out behind.
I took my ball's dick and
all that. He lives in Burns.
Yeah, exactly. Don't ever ask out loud, dear God, what else can you do to me? Because he's going to answer you. Yeah.
You got to look at something differently, guys. Remember, back to our intellectual conversation. So I spun it and made it into a marketing line, and that basically was Well, it must be pretty damn good beef that we're raising because they're coming across the universe to get it.
So good, I'd eat the ass out of a cow just to get to that. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Talk about a new pot roast. Yeah, stealing the penis. Yeah, maybe that's a delicacy somewhere. Who knows? Yeah.
For the universe of semiotics.
Yeah. It's
Talking
And so I
We're
love the
missing out.
ranch dressing and semiotics, but at the universe level, they really love our
Ranch
local
dressing.
dick.
Yeah. Can't beat it. Yeah. I had that sign up in college. Travel 10,000 miles for this dick. Who knows? Yeah. Never was proven, but it was a pretty good sign. Yeah.
If I dipped that
Can't
cow
be
dick
bad.
in semiotics ranch, I'd eat it.
See, there you go. Or the bacon blue cheese death dip at semiotics. Yeah.
This
I'm just
got
going to
a-
ignore that statement, by the way. Yeah. That's what I learned is do not listen to everything Joel says. So also this week on our wonderful podcast, and thank you again to our newest sponsor, Pinnacle and Missing Cigar, we've got some Reach Your Mail this week. I actually remembered to write down and get in our conversation. So I thought I'd read some of the fine comments from our wonderful listeners across this great, beautiful, bountiful plain we call America. And so both of these are from the last couple of weeks. And so this is from Amy in Oregon, one of our most faithful listeners. Quote, headed to work and listening to episode 27 again. A, get help. B, so we appreciate that. She said, it should have been titled Three Grown Men Giggling. That really made me laugh, and that's what I needed that day. So, Amy in Oregon, you're very welcome to us three giggling like schoolgirls, and we're glad we can help you out. And we appreciate you listening to episode 27 more than once. I'm not sure what penance you're trying to make up in your Irish guilt-filled world, but congratulations, and we thank you for that. Next one comes from Don in Texas, up in the Panhandle, and this is specifically to one of our reachers. And he says, quote, not that I've met the fellas, but I'll admit that Richardson is an intelligent guy. Congratulations, Richard. However, at the same time, one day when I meet him, I'm going to ask him, just how many drugs have you done? Unquote. So,
Well, I've been to Burning Man twice.
that's pretty much all we're going to delve into this week on Ask Richard. So Don in Texas, for your record and something to remember for the next time when you get to meet Richard someday, he's been to Burning Man twice that he recalls. It might be 4 times for all we know. He might be there now. Actually, we're not really sure, but twice that he'll admit, and that's more than most people ever will. So that's our Reach Your Mail for this week, and we thank them for their listening for one and reaching out to say hi for 2, because both of those were really inspiring and heartwarming comments to know that we're really making a difference, and that's why we're here, I think.
Richard.
Mine has spoken. Boom.
So be it. Yes. So saith the shepherd. And you're supposed to say, so saith the flock. Okay, that's better. Yeah. Joel, you were saying?
Oh, I was just going to make a joke about Richard being a Burning Man, saying use more drugs than condoms. That was a joke.
Pretty good one, too. Yeah. I mean, it's more of a deconstructed joke, sort of like those fancy desserts you get at restaurants. Like, you put it back together yourself and make out of it what you will. And it's still pretty damn good. Yeah.
All parts and pieces are there, and you can just kind of put it
It's
together.
really the IKEA of jokes. Like, what? You can't put that shit together and make something good out of it? Yeah,
like
asshole.
like the French Laundry of jokes.
Yeah,
just whatever you want.
Just make it happen.
Yeah.
It's like the Bob Ross painting of jokes. Like, it's your world. Make it for yours. Just,
You're gonna put a little bit here, put a little here.
oh, there's a happy little punchline over there. Oh, look at that. Oh, and there's a Smiling Richard reference over on this side. Yeah, it's just your world. Make it your world. Yes, there we go. Oh, some big mountains too. Yeah. Oh, and there's a happy tree. Richard's hiding behind the happy tree.
You know how politicized wearing masks has become?
I've noticed.
I think
I'm not sure where we're going. Yeah, but yeah.
Well, I just think I think of the parallel of condoms And it'd be funny if condoms had such a political connotation to it.
That you wore them on the
Like-
outside of your pants or something like that, or maybe you just hung it out so people knew that you cared and you were safe. That seems, I'm all in for that. Yeah, like I'm in. Yeah, just wear it hanging on the out. Like just, it's not illegal. If you want your pee hanging out, you just got to have a condom on it. Yeah.
I'll wear a mask if you make a flavored mask. I want cherry flavored.
Is that due to your experience with flavored condoms? I'm just curious what you made that.
Yeah.
Okay, no, that's fine. Congratulations.
They're directly correlated. Yeah.
I was wondering, and I had to go there because that's what Reachers is all about. You wonder, you go. Yeah. Interesting. Yeah. No, I think
this just in, citizen.
Listen.
Man injured in assault at 20 Hancock Street.
Those of you not in New York, nobody cares.
Somebody just got assaulted.
Assaulted? Like peanuts?
Right out.
Like right over here.
Right outside my door. I bet he got punched in the face or something.
For probably wearing a mask. Yeah. Or maybe he had a penis out and no condom.
Yeah.
Maybe he had a mask on but no condom. Maybe he had a condom and a mask. I don't know.
He had a condom in his mask.
I've seen that. That's at a truck stop. I've seen that picture. Yeah.
Blown balloons.
Not that. No. Just blowing something, but not a balloon. Yeah. Anyways, yeah.
I got kicked out of Catholic school once for blowing up condoms.
Only once. Huh? We told you we don't believe in birth control. Yeah.
Briefly. Catholic school.
He stole them from the nuns.
I feel like you probably went to West Coast.
Oh, I'm going to circle back to you boys after we're offline. This is even too bad for me to say online.
Yeah. Hold.
But I can't wait till we stop this episode so I can tell you what's in my mind right now about.
Are we in trouble?
No. It's just something that even I won't say out loud on the podcast, but I can't wait to say it till we're off the air about Raleigh blowing up condoms at a Catholic school.
Yeah.
It's coming. Yeah, it's coming.
Okay, we're gonna put a little right here.
Yeah, what's your happy little world? Yeah. I don't know. I honestly don't know what the hell we're talking about right now. We started with what we learned and went to some reader mail, and now we're talking about condoms and masks and something. So, I'm going to circle back and try to put a button on this whole son of a bocce. I'll go back and again thank our special guest, Colby, Mr. Marshall, for joining us, for sharing all your experiences. I mean, we got some great deep dive on your unique experience and that whole realm interacting with the TV and the things you guys saw and did with the animals and episode on the Discovery Channel. We thank you for that.
But there's still no conclusion.
That's the whole point, Mr. Joel, is we went through all of that and we still don't have a consensus. And I think we even got several TV shows and some other stuff involved. We don't know yet. I think that's the great part about it. We don't always know the answer, certainly with this group. So that leaves us, time for the next episode. If we can ever talk you into coming back, maybe we'll neck dart you and you just wake up here like Mr. T. And that'll be great. But, for those really avid listeners, we obviously did not get to the movie of the week, Dazed and Confused this week, nor Mr. Joel's word of the week. For that, we will circle back next time. So keep that in your pipe so you can smoke it later. I definitely recommend watching Dazed and Confused even again. If you watched it this week, to give us some comments. If you have some quotes from the movie you want us to talk about, some favorite thoughts, get that direction. Colby, if maybe you can call in next episode or send some of your thoughts in about Dazed and Confused. It was definitely one of our favorite movies in college, especially Kevy and myself. We would have some quality time at the White House and watch a little DNC, and it was quite glorious. It was so great to watch it again. Different point of view as always. The next time you watch something, you always catch something different, or like as we've always talked about, you have a different point of view or different experiences, and you're like, that doesn't seem as cool as it used to, or that's even funnier. One of the ways you're going to go. So anxious to talk about that again, because there's a lot of parallels when I went to high school about the freshman initiation and all that we went through. And I imagine Colby had a similar situation in Burns, as well as Joel and Raleigh and Pendleton. But I think for this week we're going to wrap up this episode with what we've got so far. I think it's been one of our longer podcasts. I think it's been highly entertaining. We had some great conversation. It's definitely one of the more unique ones, especially where you don't really have a consensus about really what the whole outcome was or the motive. I think that's part of the great part. So we're always learning, we're always thinking. So we're going to have special thanks to our sponsors, B&K Auto Salvage, and again, our newest sponsor, Pendleton Mixer and Cigar, right there in downtown beautiful Pendleton, Oregon. And so we're gonna sign off for now. We're definitely coming back next time with Dazed and Confused, and everybody's thoughts and comments on that. We'll probably have Colby back at some time to get follow up or just as another special guest, because he's certainly worthy on many other ventures that we've been involved in. I think for sure we're going to have a powwow episode probably at one point in time also. But until then, oh yes, we'll have to. It'll be like 50 people on that rager of a podcast. It's going to take about 6 months to get it lined up, but I think. No, we can't thank you enough for coming on, Colby, and sharing some of your experiences with us and letting us pepper you with questions. And I think there's still a lot more to be discovered. But until next time, we're going to let everybody get going. We're going to thank you for listening to this. Please, like this, share this. It's on YouTube. It's on any place that podcasts are found. It's Spotify, if it's Apple, if it's Google, wherever, even Anchor. And so we'll ask everybody to like and share and tell a story and recommend it to somebody else. And until next time, thanks for reaching out, and we will see you all very soon.